Yay, we're live.
Yay. I think we're live. We're live. I have no idea if that 30-second thing worked or not. I was trying to, I don't know which buttons to push. Oh, there we are. We are definitely.
Do you know how many times I've heard your wife say that?
Guys, I want to welcome everybody to the inaugural live Crossing the Streams. Yay. How exciting is that?
Yay. Hello.
Good to be here.
Yay.
Yay. I'm trying to like share it while I'm talking because I don't know what I'm doing. But anyway, so hey, I'm Jeff Dwoskin, host of the Jeff Dwoskin Show. Thank you all for being here. So cool. So cool. And I got my buddies with me. Little bit ago, my friend Ron Lippett and I and Howard Rosner and I, we all got together on the Jeff Dwoskin Show and we did this thing called Crossing the Streams, and we did it twice and it was really popular. And everyone was like, oh my God, this is so cool. So we decided, hey, let's do it live. How fun would it be to do it live? You know, why not do it without a net? So here we are and we're going to do it live. I brought in a couple extra buddies of mine, Bob Phillips and Sal D'Amelio. They're from the Sal and Bob Show, which was the podcast I went on just before I started my podcast. It gave me the confidence to get out there and do my own show. So thank you, boys. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Good to be on here.
You were a great guest.
Oh, it was a great guest.
Yes,
we could go on and on. So what is Crossing the Streams, everybody? We are, first of all, let me just say, we are in 4,000 countries right now. We're broadcasting in 57 states. And like every one of those governors is called in, and it's amazing. We're everywhere right now. It's the inaugural Crossing the Streams, but we put a lot of money into this, and we're everywhere. We're everywhere. There's people in Turkey. I see someone in Turkey. I'm looking at it. Turkey and other countries. There's other countries there too. Some I can't even pronounce. It's exciting. I'm excited. This is amazing. There's actually 16 people watching, guys. 17. It's like going crazy. It's through the roof.
Viva Italy. Viva Italy.
So what is Crossing the Streams? Crossing the Streams is a bunch of guys or girls. We're going to have other people. We're going to have guests every week too. And we just talk about stuff that we can binge on our Netflixes or Apples or Amazon Primes, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. Stuff that we've done. Between the five of us here, believe it or not, we have over 200 years of TV watching experience. 200 years. It's incredible.
It's impressive.
It is impressive. We each grew up and it was part of our lives, and we know that uniqueness of us, we want to share that with everyone else.
What a body of work, everybody. I'm so proud of you and me.
One would wonder if we hadn't watched so much TV, what the five of us might have accomplished.
well,
we could have been.
We wouldn't be streaming on Wednesday night.
That's true.
Think about it, though, with the magic of sitting there as a little boy, turning the knob on the TV, thinking that one day, for $25 a month, you can have the software that can put you on TV too.
Yeah.
Here we are. Oh no.
Like Little Mike TV and Willy Wonka.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good sign, guys, when the viewer number goes down.
No, that's not good.
That was just a connection issue. He'll come back.
That was just people they're checking in. So we're gonna go around and we're gonna talk about stuff. What did you guys do for Thanksgiving? Well, how was your Thanksgivings?
I spent it was my first Thanksgiving, just 48 hours into living in the new house. So we weren't having family and we weren't cooking. Believe it or not, we catered in our Thanksgiving from Cracker Barrel. And
wow.
it was
fantastic.
It was incredible.
That sounds
it was
delightful.
Incredible. Oh, it was
Wow.
great. It was turkey breast that was succulent and moist, and the hash brown casserole and cornbread stuffing. It was delightful.
Did they bring you anything from like the store before you go into Cracker Barrel?
No, one of those little triangle peg games. No.
Yeah.
What about a wicker chair to sit out on your porch?
You know, it's cold for that, but yeah, normally it was good. Although I think we did get some chuckles from the candy aisle.
Oh, chuckles! Yeah. only get those at.
I only go to Cracker Barrel when I'm going up north, and we're like, we can't figure out where else to eat. And it's good. I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah.
Delish, but that's Nice choice.
You have to remember, I've spent a lot of time working in Southern NASCAR country, so I've eaten at my fair share of both Cracker Barrels and Waffle Houses.
Yeah, Waffle House.
Sal and I have been to a few of those.
Love those places.
So my mother-in-law came over. It was, you had to limit yourself. So my mother-in-law came over, but we ate outside. So we ate dinner at 4:00, which I know some of you are like, that's late. Jews don't eat that early.
No, we don't.
We don't eat that early.
Unless you live in Boca. Yeah.
Right. We're more of a 6:30 type thing. And not let's eat at noon so we go and watch football and drink beer. We don't do that. Anyway, so my mother, we did it like at 4 because 1, light outside, 2, it was freezing, but not as freezing. So it was like, so think of it, the joy of having your mother-in-law over while freezing, and you can't say, I gotta go warm up, because everyone's freezing. That was the whole idea. It wasn't like all of a sudden you got cold and you could go in. Yeah. No, that was the original premise. So there was like, so I ended up like, Daddy, is there something wrong with your bladder? Why do you keep going to the bathroom?
Well,
anyway,
you guys ate at 4:00. It gets dark at 5. So were you guys cleaning it? Okay, so you guys cleaned your table up like in the dark?
I mean, you spend all day eating. You only eat for 15 minutes, Sal. How long do you eat?
I'm Italian. We eat for like 2 hours, no matter what. So.
All right.
It's courses. It's all about courses.
I'm Irish. We're like Jewish people because get in, get out. There's something popping. You got to get your food and leave. Usually it's because it's a large family. Somebody wants your piece of turkey. So it's all over within minutes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Mine was quick. I was in a Boston Market parking lot, and I had a chicken sandwich because they were out of turkey. So they were out of turkey.
That story started off bad and it got worse.
So I had a chicken sandwich in the parking lot of a Boston Market. Wow.
It could have been worse. It could have been worse if Sal had to eat a McRib.
There we go.
There it is.
That's right. Done. The Jeff Dwoskin Show, Crossing the Streams, brought to you by McRib. McRib. If you can find even a little rib, it's yours free. The McRib.
Even a little.
Yeah. Those hot peppers. Was there hot peppers on there?
Figured out?
Yeah, those were not hot peppers, right. Those are pickles.
Those are pickles.
All right.
Yeah.
Hang on a second, Jeff. Put that picture back up. Because as I look at stuff, now notice the sesame seeds on the left-hand side, there's a lot more than the right-hand side.
He wants an equal amount of sesame seeds.
That is a bread issue, right?
Equal amount of blueberries.
You want an equal amount of sesame seeds.
I think there's a lot of issues going on here.
Do you know how long that's going to take?
That's what a McRib is. It's back, boys. It's back.
All right.
I'm here to stay with the
Oh, man. How was you, Bob? How was yours Thanksgiving? Didn't want to cut you off.
Well, no, it's all right. You didn't cut me off. It was like, like everybody else's. It was weird because we couldn't all get together. But, I have 3 kids. I have 3 grandsons. And we have, 3 different locations. And so I made breakfast for everybody. Dad's special pancakes, thick cut bacon, fresh orange juice. And I delivered it. I went to Livonia, to Plymouth, and Ypsilanti. Yeah, so I got to see them, on their porches, say hello, and that was a fun, couple hours. So
Bob's making it sound like it's a big deal. Bob's super rich. He had a driver.
And he had somebody cooking the food too.
Yeah, he had a driver. Faster, Maurice.
No, Mosa would not come over on Thanksgiving.
Oh man. So a little later in the show we're gonna check in with Rudy Giuliani. He's got a special announcement for us. But we're gonna get back to that. He's got something big. It's a big deal. They keeping the Four Seasons total landscaping.
You just know that half of those cretins walked across to the dildo store after that press conference.
Yeah, that happened.
I think they walked out from the dildos.
Well, that's how I refer to the White House. So yeah, you're right.
They sent a page to get a roll of quarters for the booth. There's no doubt.
Oh, hey, Mick Manhattan. He says the Waffle House is always great at first. I think that's you, Rosner. Mick Manhattan. That'd be a great detective name, wouldn't it? Mick Manhattan.
Well, tell us how you take your hash browns, Mick.
Mick is from Norway. So we got all the way from Norway.
Norland.
Wait, Nick also says horrifyingly beautiful. Oh, Mick Manhattan from
the hash
Yugoslavia, all the way from Yugoslavia. We have Mick Manhattan. This is exciting. We got people from all over the world.
Nice.
That's great.
The last Waffle House I ate was it was in Daytona before the Daytona 500 this February when traveling was still good, and I was eating late at night. It was the only place open, and I opted not to go with a breakfast. I went with like a double cheeseburger, and I woke up panting like 3 hours later. It was a miserable experience.
Oh, the sodium intake at 2 o'clock in the morning. You might as well ingested a salt lick.
Yeah, it was bad. It tasted fantastic.
Yeah, very underrated.
But,
I think somehow we became a show about talking about TV shows and stuff. Like here's where not to eat.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Sal and I did a live show from Waffle House.
Yeah, we did.
Was it Kansas City?
Kansas. We were like in the middle of Kansas. I forgot where. But
Olathe.
Nice.
Olathe.
Olathe.
Yeah,
we went to a Waffle House in the
morning. Yeah, and they thought we were like the health inspectors because we come in with our recording stuff, and I'm in a suit because we had just done a show at a club not far from there. So we got some looks, but it was a fun morning.
Cool. Yeah. All right, so let's transition into why we're all here. Yeah. So just for everyone listening across the world, from sea to shining sea, that's listening in to our live broadcast. Yeah. So I need to look up countries. I realize I only have 3 countries at the top of my head. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go and we're going to talk about some shows that we've all watched and enjoyed, and we're going to kind of just convince you to watch them. You don't have to watch them, but these are really some good finds. So we're going to do it. We're going to start with my man, Mr. Rosner.
Yeah.
Mr. Rosner, what do you got?
So the Comedy Store was a multi-part documentary on Showtime. It's on the Showtime streaming app right now. It's superb. For those of you who don't know, the Comedy Store is really considered the mecca of stand-up comedy in LA on the Sunset Strip. It was created and owned by Mitzi Shore, Pauly Shore's mom, and it was the showplace for every major name in comedy in the modern era of comedy. So like mid-70s on. Pryor, Jim Carrey, David Letterman started there. Just Robin Williams. The list goes on and on. The documentary's directed by Mike Binder, who's from Detroit. Directed a bunch of movies, and he kind of leads and narrates it. And he has so many of these major names interviewed talking about their experiences there. Letterman talking about how he worked at the Door. He came right out from Indiana to try and make it, and that was the place. And all these big names, including names now, interviewed for it. And then each of the episodes has kind of a little bit of an extra story. One of them is a lot about Sam Kinison. One of them features pretty significantly Joe Rogan, who is a huge supporter of the store and was banned for about 8 years because of his fight with Carlos Mencia. It's just really good. If you're a fan of stand-up comedy, as obviously everybody on this podcast is, it's excellent. It's just great insight from some really funny people, and then they sprinkle in a lot of these people on stage, and it's great. I highly recommend it. And Mike Binder does a great job kind of weaving, walking Letterman through the building, looking at pictures up on the wall, talking about crazy stories. There's an amazing story of Jimmy, told by Jimmy Walker, about an experience with Freddie Prinze trying to kill John Travolta with a crossbow because Travolta took over as the next Teen Beat cover model from Freddie Prinze. And they actually have a picture of the actual police report that John Travolta filed about finding crossbow arrows in his door of his apartment. It's great. It's great. Again, Showtime. It's excellent. I recommend it highly.
Has anyone else seen that?
I watched bits and pieces of it. But the part, and I didn't get to finish the part about Rogan being banned. I remember getting up to that part, and something took me away from it. But he was banned for 8 years just for calling out the truth about Mencia,
right?
Which was that he was stealing jokes.
Right. They interview a lot of the other comics talking about how they would specifically change their act and do nothing new and even just really generic stuff when they saw Mencia in the room, because he would noticeably steal their stuff. And it talked a lot about that. So
it was Mitzi Shore herself that banned him?
No, it was, maybe it was. I'm trying to remember if it was Mitzi or if it was the manager at the time. And the manager now, who's the booker that kind of took over after Mitzi passed away, he's the one that brought Rogan back into the fold. And Rogan's such a big supporter that he actually has donated like hundreds of thousands of dollars to fixing the place up, technology and all those things, because they do a lot of broadcasts from there of podcasts and other shows now.
That's correct.
The Comedy Store is like where so many people got their start. So it's like it's a crazy the amount of lists. I have a funny, Mike Binder. I think he's from Michigan. Yes,
he's from Detroit.
Yeah. And he's from Detroit. So there was one time I get a call from my mother, my stepmother, and she says Mike Binder wants to have you on one of his shows. I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, Mike Binder. I just talked to his mother. I'm friends with his mother. I'm like, whoa. So I'm like all excited, right? And I Google and I'm like, are you sure it's Mike Binder? And he's like, yes, it's Mike Binder. And I'm like, all right. So I'm like all excited, right? And then finally I get the information and it turns out it's Mike Young, who's also a great guy. And I did many great young American comedy shows with Mike Young, but originally for a very short time, I'm like the director of Indian Summer. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I was like, oh, I was so excited about that. But then it was there was some wires crossed.
Howard,
there.
I really enjoyed on that documentary. They talked about how big names would go at like 1 or 2 in the morning purposely to try out new material, knowing that they were going to bomb.
Yeah.
But that was the kind of environment that the Comedy Store was. Like these people who are big names and really respected comics with well-honed acts would still go in the middle of the night to try out new stuff, knowing that they're just going to bomb it. And I thought that was really cool. That makes it like a brotherhood, which I didn't realize.
They talked about how each of the 3 rooms in the store has a different feel, I'm gonna forget the specific room names, but the one they said is without question the hardest place to do comedy. Just the setup of the room, it seemed it was just great. I mean, one of my favorite things of watching it was just they would show marquees from now, and you're looking at it going, I would pay a fortune to see just that person, and there's 8 or 9. Similar to the Comedy Cellar in New York, which I think most of us have been to, but even to I think a slightly higher level. And they also interviewed the guy who wrote the book, that Showtime show, I'm Dying Up Here, which was really the story of the Comedy Store and Mitzi Shore was based on. They did 3 seasons of the show, and then unfortunately, I don't think it connected, and they canceled it. But that's another show, though. If you watch the documentary, you think it's hysterical. Go back on the same Showtime app and watch those 3 seasons of I'm Dying Up Here. It's got some great people. Clark Duke, who was on The Office and other shows, is on that, and really funny.
Yeah, Raz, look at that. Look, you're convinced Casey Ryan Plot.
I actually did a set at the Comedy Store.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like you guys said, or somebody said, there's 3 rooms. There's the A room, B room, C room. They have a beer cooler in the basement, and I did that. There was 2 chairs in there. And
Sal's like, are you sure this is the room? People keep flushing.
No, that was a joke. I actually really did do a set there. It was nice. Like a C room. It was like a Tuesday night at 11:45 open mic kind of thing in late 1999 when I was just getting started. So but it was just like I just got a chance. I mean, literally, there was probably 7 people in the audience. But to do a set there I was so happy. It was great.
Well, it was the show that fed everything for all the stand-up comedians for Carson back in the day.
Correct.
And that was it. So it's a good watch and a quick watch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you, man. It's a good one.
That's a good one. That is a good one. All right. So we are now going to hang on while I navigate this craziness of pictures that I have. All right. So that was the Comedy Store. It's on Showtime. Here's like the image of it. So when you go search, you can kind of see it. Great recap, Howard. That's really exciting. You. And now Bob Phillips is going to take us through. Oh,
you got the
this one's almost an obligatory. Anyway, we have to talk about the Queens Gambit because everyone's probably seen it, but we can't not cover it because if you haven't seen it, then you are missing out. So go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, you got to see it. It's the Queens Gambit. I mean, if somebody had said to me, okay, if somebody had said to me, hey, you need to watch this show. It's about an 8-year-old chess prodigy. I'd be like, no. maybe an hour special or something, but nobody told me what it was about. They just said, watch it. And you're going to be so engrossed in it. And you just won't be able to turn it off. And they were absolutely right. I started watching it, and it is about I think she was 7 or 8, orphaned chess prodigy. She wasn't that way when the show begins. I don't want to give out too much, but she's orphaned very early on in the first episode. Her mother is got all kinds of mental issues and tries to kill them both, but the little girl. Played by, is it Anya Taylor-Joy? Anya?
Not in the young age, but later Anya.
Yeah, later on. The adult or the adolescent and young adult. I forget the young lady's name who played her as a child, but she obviously survives and then winds up at an orphanage, and then again, not too many details, but learns the game of chess, and she's a natural. And in this particular orphanage, apparently what they did during the 50s and early 60s was to give tranquilizers to these kids, just to knock them back a little bit because they had so many of them to deal with. And she develops a drug addiction, which goes hand in hand with her, with her learning the game of chess. And it follows her. I'm not going to give you the complete arc, but it follows her through some pretty dark days as a young lady. She winds up as an adolescent with a couple that adopt her, and it's actually pretty dark, and it feels kind of sinister at first. I don't know. Did you guys watch?
We did.
Okay. Yeah, you never know which direction it's going in. We're not going to give anything away, but this is a spoiler-free. We cross streams, but we don't cross lines. We don't.
There's a line somewhere there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the line I'm going to draw is I'm just going to say that her situation changes. She goes to live with a couple, and it seems very sinister at first because the guy is a total jerk, and the woman is, clearly got a drinking issue, but it winds up actually being, a frolic for her compared to what she had lived through. And it's such an engrossing story. It follows her along, trying to make her way in the world of chess. The beginning takes place in Kentucky, and of course, being a young girl in late 50s, Kentucky, early 60s, nobody's given her any respect. Nobody's making it easy on her to enter these chess tournaments, and I'm not giving anything away in the early going by saying she just blows everybody out of the water. And it goes on from there and takes her to a lot of different places, dark places, good places, but really engrossing series. And I love playing chess. It's been years since I played it. And I was really happy to see that they really stuck to the ins and outs of professional level chess and competitive chess. And I didn't know a lot of the stuff that they were talking about. I'm just sort of a casual player, but they took pains to portray it properly. And I thought that was cool. I learned a lot about the game.
My original thing when I heard about it was chess. but watching this is the same kind of reaction I had when I watched World Series of Poker on TV, where you just become fascinated at everything. If you want, like I think I play. I'm more of a checkers guy, if I'm being perfectly honest. But
it makes sense.
Yeah, more of a checkers guy. But but I tell you, it is fascinating. I mean, that's how, like, it's not just like it's a great story. The acting is amazing in this. The music, the clothes are ridiculous. I mean, everything about this is so on point. Yeah. And I couldn't get enough of the chess. And like, if somebody just said chess, there's a movie, did you see that movie about, no, I've been avoiding the search for Bobby Fischer for 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in chess. So it's like, but oh my God, I couldn't get enough of it. Like the strategy that goes into it and how it's a world that I didn't even know existed. I didn't even know any. It's just unbelievable. I thought.
And the thing about the 60s was the height of chess popularity. With the Cold War and the Russians and the whole Kasparov and all those guys out there. I mean, it was a big deal back then. So, and the character's fictional, but it is a perfect representation of how it felt back in those days. And I will say, Jeff, you hit on the searching for Bobby Fischer thing. That was my worry going into that show. I don't want to see another searching for Bobby Fischer. I don't want to see another prodigy kid make good, but that's not what the story really is. I mean, this is
it's her arc from being an orphan in the absolute worst place
exactly
you can be, and literally making her own way against all the headwinds. I did read that there was, and by the way, the ending is so perfect. I'm not going to give anything away. I'm just going to say they put such a nice bow on this, and with such a, how some series, very unsatisfying endings. Game of Thrones, for one. Dexter, oh my God. Well, at least Dexter's coming back for another season to get it right. But this ending was so perfect that there's just no need for a second season. It's like there's no more story to tell. But I did hear yesterday that the showrunner was saying that they might have a season 2. This time she's playing backgammon.
That's perfect.
So
that's perfect.
Not quite as compelling. And it takes place in Boca Raton. But anyway,
the dice keep falling from the ceiling and hitting her in the head.
For our Scandinavian friends, Ron and I are big fans. They should make a movie about Scandinavian. What's it called? Death diving. Ron?
Death diving should be a serious, like, world watched show. Are you guys into death diving?
Have you ever
seen
seen
what we're talking about?
Are you talking about cliff diving or diving?
No.
Diving?
No, these are people from Norway, right, Ross?
It's Scandinavia. It's
somewhere in Scandinavia. but they're in a 10-meter pool, a 10-meter diving board into a pool, and these guys just hurl themselves off these platforms into these ridiculous postures and hold the posture all the way down to the water. And it is nothing short of fall off your couch. Hilarious.
It's a combination of platform diving and belly flop competition.
So it's intentional.
Circa 1983 in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah. Okay. It's competitive nonsense is what it is.
Guys, we have like hundreds of thousands of people watching us right now, and every one of them is named Mick Manhattan, and he wanted to point out, it's like, I can make any balloon animal as long as it's a dog.
Should have ended after season 4, Dexter. Yeah,
that's what I always say. I always say Dexter was a perfect series. We won't say what happens in season 4, but like Dexter is the perfect season if you just stop after season 4. They get so lazy after season 4. Yeah. Season 4 is like the perfect in the bottle right there. Boom.
Oh, by the way, on that Queens Gambit, it's the #1 show for Netflix in 63 countries right now, and it's the most watched limited series special ever for Netflix. And this I found funny. Remember when Tiger Woods won the Masters in like '97, and there was a big golf boom after that?
Yeah.
Well, there's actually a big chess boom right now on online chess playing. And just people buying chess sets out there. And I just want to say that's going to end very, very soon.
and hundreds of babies named Rook and Queen and King and
Gambit.
It's great.
My daughter Gambit.
We actually know somebody who named their kid Gambit. We know somebody. Yes, we do.
Well, that's I like that name. That's a good name. All right, so that's good. So Queen's Gambit, 7 episodes. Definitely check it out. Yeah. All right, this next one, I have to admit, we're going to pass the baton over to Sal D'Amelio. This one I'm not familiar with. Okay. This one is The Pharmacist on Netflix.
Nice.
Sal?
Yes. Oh, thanks, Jeff. Thanks. So yes, I watched The Pharmacist. To be honest with you, I kind of screwed up. I thought it was going to be like The Graduate with a pharmacist, but it wasn't. So,
what was it about?
Plastics.
Actually, it was very good. It's sad, but it's good in a way. It's about a gentleman named Dan Schneider and his wife Annie. They're from the lower 9th Ward of New Orleans, and they grew up in the 80s and 90s. They're married there with 2 kids. And then their son, unfortunately, is murdered while purchasing crack cocaine. Jeff, why are you making me laugh? And
that's hilarious.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing because when I prepped the titles, I had no idea what the show was about.
Oh, okay.
Great show.
Okay. So
you get 1 prescription free. And then I forgot that I wrote that. And when I looked at it and realized what a sad story it is about a kid getting killed, it just kind of hit me just now.
Yeah. But thanks, Jeff.
I'm not laughing at it.
Well, I know. I just was thrown off there. But I thought maybe one of my jokes was killing. All right.
No.
So anyway, it's about this gentleman's son that's murdered purchasing crack cocaine in the late 90s, and that was the prevalent drug there in New Orleans. And it was a sad story because he wasn't really hooked on drugs. He had just gotten kind of into that realm in his neighborhood, and it was a sad story, a sad beginning to this. And then this Dan Schneider, who, by the way, I know these are not actors. These are true stories. This is a documentary. But the guy looks exactly like John Mahoney from Frasier. I mean, his mannerisms and the way he talks, if the guy had a cane, I would have lost it. So, but anyway, but this guy, they don't find the murder of his son, and the police kind of just, brush it off to the side like they did a lot of murders across this whole country, not just in New Orleans. And unfortunately, some murders go unsolved, and he takes it into his own hands. Like Bob said earlier, I don't want to give away the whole Netflix special, but it was very good. It just shows how this guy was adamant in finding the killer. One of the things I find amazing, he records everything he does. Like where he goes, he has a camera. He records every conversation he has. There was a point where the cops stop looking for this murder. He starts calling everybody out of a phone book in the neighborhood of where his son was murdered, and just calling people like, oh, this person lives 2 blocks away from where my son was killed. I'll call this person. He finally finds somebody that kind of helps him along and gets to who killed his son. And then you would think the documentary's over, but it's not. They find the killer, and there's a lot going on with that. But then it gets into the OxyContin drug habit in this country, not only in New Orleans, but all across the country. And this guy just stays on it and just gets involved in that, into the Supreme Court for his state, all the way up to fighting the Purdue Pharma, which, if you're in the news and you read the news, you know all about that company, how they got pretty much busted for basically selling, or not selling, but just administering prescription drugs through doctors, and maybe prescriptions weren't needed, but somebody got hooked, and they even showed this one doctor that was in New Orleans that was literally giving, I forgot what 79 patients a day were coming in for OxyContin, over 2 million pills per year. They finally got to her and stuff. And there's other things involved in the documentary series. I believe it's 5 episodes, but I highly recommend it. I give it a 4 Mason tomato jar sauces. 5 is the highest you can get from me. I give it a 4, and I think you should stream it on Netflix.
Sal, didn't that Purdue ruling just come down? They had to pay a whole bunch of money, correct, just like recently, right?
A lot of money,
right? Like $8.3 billion just in October of 2020, just a couple months ago. And this guy had a big part in kind of getting to that. And you'll see the whole story on how that gets to that point. It's very remarkable person. Left a legacy for his son, that's for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, as a side note,
the
Purdue family, just before that judgment came down, they took, I want to say $4 billion out of the company, and then went into their personal accounts, because they knew that the company's going down. It's being in a sense liquidated. So they got theirs.
Anyway. And Dan Snyder, he was a big part of that happening, but it took years. It's not a short documentary. It's got a lot of footage from the early days in New Orleans, and showing a lot of the OxyContin pandemic across the country that's still out there, real prevalent today. Highly recommend it.
And Casey Ryan Plott was convinced. So I think that's becoming the de facto standard on the Crossing the Stream. Casey Ryan Plott is in. We're in.
Casey Ryan Plott. I like.
And then also, Chris Sales heard that Dexter is coming back, but Chris is from another country. This is worldwide, so
you have a tremendous grasp of geography.
I need a globe. It's funny when you can't, you think of a country off the top of your head.
Liechtenstein.
All right, so that was all right. So that was cool. So then we're gonna go next. We're pretty excited. We're gonna go to who hasn't gone?
Me. I think it's my turn, brother.
Okay. All right. This one's one of my personal favorites.
Mine too.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear you talk about it. This is Ted Lasso on Apple TV.
Ted Lasso on Apple TV Plus. That actually is probably the most negative thing about the whole show, is that it's on Apple TV Plus. That's the new network, and I know folks haven't kind of jumped on that yet, but check it out. The programming on that network is really coming up to speed. Apple's investing a ton of money into that, and I got to tell you, Ted Lasso really snuck up on me. I had no idea about this show until Howard. Actually, you were the one who first kind of encouraged me to watch this show. It's about an American college football coach who's got a quirky Southern charm, starring Jason Sudeikis. And by the way, I'll just say this right off the bat: Jason Sudeikis is probably my very favorite comedic actor in Hollywood and on TV. For those of you who don't know him, he's from We're the Millers and Horrible Bosses and a number of other things. And he created this Ted Lasso character about 8 years ago.
Ron has crossed over the stream.
Ron, you're I think we're losing you, Ron.
Oh no, brother. Am I?
You're back.
Can you hear me?
There you're back.
You're good.
Oh man,
Don't go to the light.
Tell your kids to stop using TikTok.
They're probably on TikTok or Netflix. So I'll just go back and talk about that.
Oh boy.
Oh, we're losing you. You were fine right up until then.
There you go. You're back now.
Well, I'll tell you what, Howard. If I go out again, you're gonna have to pick this back up.
Oh yeah, I will. You're good now.
Well, good. Again, Jason Sudeikis, We're the Millers, Horrible Bosses, and he created the Ted Lasso character about 8 years ago to try and, in a humorous way, educate American watchers about, at the time, the United States really investing into trying to get people to watch soccer here in the United States. And so he created this kind of hilarious character back then to get everything wrong about what soccer's all about and to make jokes about how many quarters there are in a game and all these ridiculous things about soccer. But at the end of the day, it didn't work. And then all these years later, Ted Lasso, the show, begins. And he is this college football coach, the character, who's brought to England to coach this European English football team. I'm blanking on the name. It's not Rochester. It's in North Carolina. But anyway, and it is all about his style of coaching that is very charming and Southern, and people don't trust it. But what you find out over the course of the series is that it's very calculated and very directed towards creating a unity and trust and building like this coalition that ends up achieving all these amazing, great results through this culture that he's building, all through this goofy Southern charm of his that turns out to not be silly at all. It's very calculated. And it co-stars the woman who played Septa Unella on Game of Thrones. That's her name's Hannah Waddingham. Do you guys remember Septa Unella, who chased after Cersei yelling "Shame, shame"?
Oh yeah. The bell.
with the bell. So she is the co-star of this show, and she does an incredible job as the owner of this team who brought Ted Lasso in to fail. Specifically to fail.
Very Major League-esque.
Yeah, it's very Major League-esque in that way. But she ends up falling in love with the guy just because of his character, just like all the rest of us and all the viewers watching this. And it really is a feel-good lesson for all of us to be very careful about what you conceive of a person right off the bat. And I highly recommend it. I got my wife, who wants nothing to do with soccer. I got my wife to watch this show, and she turned around at the end of the series and said, "This might be the best show I've seen all year."
My wife felt the same way, and I felt the same way too. And so I think I didn't realize the underpinning theme of this episode of Crossing the Streams was getting people to love underappreciated sports.
Well, it's true. Well, Ron and I, the reason I knew Ron would like the show is Jason Sudeikis, but Ron and I also share a love of English Premier League soccer. So
it's true.
I knew he would like that also. You're totally right, Ron. It's just it's such a comforting, happy place show but also hysterical at the same time. That there's nothing controversial, there's nothing cutting edge. It's just funny and heartwarming, and it was just I've watched it twice. It's a super fast, easy watch.
It's not flippant though. It's
no.
It's not easy humor. It's a deeper humor to it.
I agree.
I thought the characters in that were amazing. It's a deep show, and it's like you're laughing, and then some people might be crying.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's every emotion. It's every emotion. It's all there.
You're right. The characters are perfectly cast. The assistant coach is fantastic.
And did you know that assistant coach, whose name I can't remember,
Brendan Hunt.
Brendan Hunt, thank you. He was with Jason Sudeikis in the original Ted Lasso 8 years ago. Like, that's still the same guy. They've been doing the same bit now for all these years. Now it's going on.
Crazy.
And I heard it's getting renewed again. So I think this show is going to be just as long as Jason Sudeikis wants it to be.
They've already announced that they're going to have a third season.
Yeah,
so the second one is I mean
who's not
just
having any more seasons? Olivia Wilde.
That's true.
No more seasons with Jason Sudeikis. I read that.
That's too bad.
The Allen Iverson
he has extremely. I don't mean to cast a negative shadow on the show, but Ron, it appears that you have not convinced Casey Ryan.
Oh dear Lord, Casey Ryan
to watch
Casey Ryan
Ted
plot.
Lasso. I know we don't even know if that person is still watching. But
that's very upsetting. I
haven't watched it, and I'm watching it because of what he said.
It's really good. The Allen Iverson practice reference speech in the middle of one of the episodes, absolutely. That came out of the blue.
It came out of the blue.
I had to rewind. I was crying, laughing at like 12:30 at night while my wife was asleep. Going, I just couldn't believe that. I'm like, oh my God, am I hearing what I'm hearing?
He pulls references throughout the show. I mean, throughout the show, he throws little nuggets that half the people catch, half the people don't. But the point is, he keeps going on. Jason Sudeikis is so talented.
It's extremely subtly hilarious, and definitely everyone should watch it. If you just bought an iPhone, you get it. You get Apple TV for free for a year. So jump on
as
that.
my 12-year-old likes to say,
I'm such a techno
legit
idiot. I have no. How do you get Apple TV? What do you?
Yeah,
I have a TV and I have an iPhone.
So
how do these two things
where
I can see
you plug it in? You plug.
There's a couple different ways you can do it. The easiest way is if you get an Apple TV, the device, that it comes already established with your Apple TV.
What
device.
does an Apple TV device look like?
It's a little black box. It costs $120, I think it is.
Okay. Right.
And with it comes you can stream everything. But here's the deal. Everyone asks us, why should I get Apple TV Plus when I can get a smart television and get all the networks, including Apple TV Plus, by the way. And the reason is for the interface. I don't want to be a commercial for Apple TV Plus, but the interface for Apple TV Plus is what makes it well worth the money.
Okay, I will never see this show.
I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of the Amazon Fire Stick, which you can get.
I'll never see that show.
Just mention all the streaming services in case we get a sponsor.
All right, this just in. Casey Ryan plot. Ron, he's already seen Ted Lasso. Post-convinced.
He's post-convinced. It's like he was convinced before, saw this, convinced again.
And then from Chile, Mick Manhattan. I'm in for Ted Lasso.
I thought he was from Liechtenstein.
Mickey Manhattan.
That was a different Mick. There's apparently every country has their very own Mick Manhattan. Mick Manhattan, by the way, everyone with the Scene Snob, the scenesnobs.com. Helping promote and chime in. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. You'll be on a future episode.
Howard, football is life.
Football is life.
That's all you got to remember.
Except in the show, football is soccer.
It's soccer.
Don't confuse everyone. Don't confuse everyone. All right, we got one more show, and we're going to wrap up the show.
Oh, who's going to do that one?
What? Okay, I don't know what you just said, Bob. But don't confuse me.
Who's going to do that one? Who's going to do the last show?
I am. I'm talking about a documentary about curling. We got to go for more great sports here.
No.
By the way, wasn't Mick Manhattan? Wasn't that Anthony Weiner's chat hand?
It might have been. It might have been.
All right, let's go. We've got one more show. So this is again. The Mandalorian. If you love Star Wars, you're going to love The Mandalorian. You can see from the picture, it also has introduced the #1 accessory in all the world, in that galaxy and this galaxy, Baby Yoda, who now we know is named Grogu. But he carries him everywhere, and everyone loves Baby Yoda. Have you guys seen The Mandalorian?
Yes. I have not.
You haven't? Okay, well, The Mandalorian is amazing, and if you love Star Wars and you can afford Disney Plus, they're like, we love crossing the streams, and if I was super rich, I could watch all these shows. So I wrote some names things down because I don't want to say a Star Wars name wrong and get letters.
Oh yeah.
That's I'm a fan. But so if you love Star Wars, like the original Star Wars trilogy, and you feel that the first three, episode 1, 2, and 3, weren't the greatest. That's how I feel. Jar Jar aside, I didn't feel it. And then if you felt like 7, 8, 9 robbed you of what it really could have been, and I'm not saying I didn't. I'm like, oh, Rian Johnson. And then no, I liked it. I liked what he did. I don't know. Just whatever. I just wasn't enough with the Luke Skywalker stuff. So, my original premise was try not to get letters. Okay,
we're gonna end up in a subreddit for sure.
Yeah, I know we're gonna end up. But my point is, if you watch The Mandalorian, this was always my problem with the sequels to the original Star Wars trilogy. Is I'm not into the home movies. Meaning, like, you watch Star Wars, you watch The Empire Strikes Back, you watch Return of the Jedi, you know, like what the Kessel Run is, which they did in this, and you know that he becomes Darth Vader. And in your head, you have all these things, and it's all played out in your head. So for them to try and make it, it's never going to live up to that, right? And like, for example, in my house growing up, we had this picture, and in this picture, it was like a sketch, and it was worth $250,000, right? Oh, until they took it to an Antiques Roadshow and it was only worth $500. Okay, you know what I mean? But had we not done that, we wouldn't have ruined the illusion that we had this amazing. Okay?
Yeah.
So to me, like and I'm not saying whether these are bad, you know, the Han Solo movie, same thing. It's a movie, like, we don't need to see the Kessel Run. We all picture it in our head. We know it, you know what I mean? So you're never going to live up to it. But the beautiful thing about Star Wars is it's an entire galaxy. There's all these things going on. It's a world, right? So the concept of The Mandalorian is it's in the world, and it's in a world version of the world that's closer to how the original Star Wars movies feel, right? So it's like when you're watching it, you feel like you're watching a real sequel and a real extension of the original Star Wars movies. And it's not bogged down by trying to work in Luke Skywalker, make Boba Fett, all the stormtroopers, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not caught up. Well, how did we get C-3PO? What, Darth Vader made him? Okay, you know, it's not caught up in any of that because it just happens in the world. And so it's great. So it's about this Mandalorian who dresses like Boba Fett, which I think is what you're supposed to, you know, but it's not Boba Fett. It's just someone else who is a Mandalorian. Boba Fett wasn't a true Mandalorian. There, did I get some cred back for the everyone?
You did.
Yeah, with everybody but women. Yeah.
Right. Well, here's the thing about The Mandalorian. I watched the whole thing, and then my wife watched it with me. And now I can't watch season 2, which is we're in the middle of right now, without her. She got hooked. So that's another thing. Like, it plays onto those original Star Wars feelings. And the story of The Mandalorian is so good. It's kind of like a Western. It's kind of like it kind of genre switches up a little bit here and there, but it's so good. And it has a lot of, you know, the stormtroopers and the Tusken Raiders and stuff like that. And so you got Carl Weathers is in it, and Pedro Pascal always is wearing that helmet. And it's like, it's amazing. You know, like, oh, they should give an Academy Award for people who wear helmets and keep you like enthralled. It's like James Franco when he had his arm stuck for the entire movie, and he was so good. Yeah, right. It's like, there should be like things where like, this shouldn't be that good. And it's just, Baby Yoda is amazing, and everything's just great about it. And then season 2, they're going even deeper. They're kind of connecting the Rebels and the Clone War cartoons, and they just brought Ahsoka Tano, which is like this very popular character, and they've brought in some other characters earlier in the season as well. So it's fun. If you love Star Wars, I'm just going to pitch it as, if you love the original Star Wars and that's your thing, that's your jam, then The Mandalorian is totally worth even buying Disney Plus for, just to watch it. And it's in the middle of season 2 right now. So that's my take on
Jeff, I got a question for you, because I'm not a Star Wars person. So if there's somebody watching that's like me, they're going to appreciate what I'm asking you. So does The Mandalorian take place before Star Wars that I watched, or after? You know what I mean? Like, it's Chewbacca,
I think it takes place after Return of the Jedi.
Okay, all right. And now I got another question for Star Wars geeks. Is Chewbacca ever a little baby? I want to see him as a little. Is he ever a little baby in anything?
No.
I want to see him as a little baby, like a little 2-3-year-old Chewbacca.
Baby Chewbacca would be just as adorable as Baby Yoda.
Yeah. He's like Groot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jeff, I was just going to say my 16-year-old daughter is really into the man. It's not just for dudes, not just for nerds and guys. I mean, girls, women, they're into the show too. So it is a great show.
Okay.
I have one bone to pick with that show.
One bone. Okay, go ahead.
Just one bone. Yeah. This was in the a couple episodes ago when they were attacked by the spiders, right? Okay, so Baby Yoda, who we now know as Grogu, he is fiddling around with these eggs, right? And he opens one, they kind of blossoms, and it looked just like the alien egg, right? With the face sucker. And he reaches in and eats this thing, which looks like a mini face sucker. And I thought, that is a funny, sly reference to another sci-fi world. But no, they blew it. It just turned out to be spiders. Did you think that too when you were watching that scene? No, I'm reading too much into this. I'm with 4 other TV geeks, and nobody's with me on this.
Well, no, I'm not.
Go look at that scene.
I get it. Okay. Let's just say it was a nod to Alien. But then, they're not going to do a face hugger, Bob. They're not going to go. Oh no, baby! Not going to put it. They're not going to have Baby Yoda get attacked by a face hugger Yoda alien.
You're not listening to me, Jeff. I'm just saying it should have ended there. That was a funny, sly little reference, but it turns out they didn't know that they were doing a sly reference because it turned out to be spiders. They kind of blew it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Much like Jeff didn't know his painting was worthless.
Right.
There you go.
No, I agree with you, Bob. Dave Filoni, who knows everything about Star Wars and put 1,000 Easter eggs into The Mandalorian, didn't know he was doing an Aliens reference. Okay.
Yeah. Well.
Okay. Anyway, this was great, guys. I hate to leave it on a sour note, Bob, but the good news is
we'll take this offline.
Yeah, the good news is Howard Rosner is going to mail you a coupon for the Cracker Barrel, and so that's good. And then, we do have some comments here. Oh, wait. Casey Ryan plots. Jeff seen it a lot, an unnecessary amount. Going to rewatch it now. Reconvinced. Which I think is a better.
Is that post-convinced or?
Yeah, I think that's better than the one he did for Ted Lasso.
If I could sum up the episode, I would like to say that Casey Ryan plot is very agreeable.
Yeah, I like Casey. Casey Ryan plot is officially the president of the Crossing the Streams Live fan club.
Is Casey
and then Chris Sales is the vice president, and he brings up a good point to Sal. Ewoks are baby Wookiees. I don't know if that's the specific, but it's I think as close as you're going to get. So
we don't want George Lucas to sue us.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to start watching now.
All right, you're right. It's all like hashtag asterisk allegedly. All right, my friends. This I think. We got one more comment. Casey accepts. All right, thank you, Casey.
Nice.
Just PayPal me the $25 initiation fee. You guys, thank you so much for doing this. It's going to be fun. And just so everyone knows, we do this for the 5,000 people still watching and stuck with us to the end from all corners of the earth, from 4,700 countries have tuned in. I want to thank you again. We're going to be doing this every Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern time. That's 8:30 Central time. We're going to have us. We're going to have friends. We're going to talk about different shows every week. If you want to email me at jeff@jeffisfunny.com and suggest a show, we'll talk about it. If you want to be a guest, ping me. During the credits is going to be all of our socials. But I'm just going to sign off and say thank you, guys. I'm Jeff Dwoskin.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, appreciate it, Jeff. This was fun.
Thanks a lot.
Big thanks to Ron, Sal, Howard, and Bob. And thank all of you guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Can't thank you enough. Can't thank you enough. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Crossing the Streams, brought to you by scenesnobs.com and part of the Jeff Dwoskin Show. Your hosts, of course, Jeff Dwoskin, Sal D'Amelio, Bob Phillips, Ron Lippett, and Howard Rosner. Follow us all on the socials, and we'll see you next week and every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Mark your calendars. We're going live and crossing more streams.